it's not only us, Jen, because they just had a skit on SNL like a couple weeks ago, and it was like, my husband's out. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna put on a murder show, murder show, murder show, murder show. And it's like, I'm gonna watch this guy get disemboweled as I'm doing my nails or something. I don't know. It's so funny. And I was just like, this
Thank
is what
God.
women do.
Yes.
It's so great. It made me laugh. You have to look it up. It's hilarious.
I will. That's basically depicting any evening that I have.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Actor and Agent, aka The Dirt or The Skinny, with me, Jen.
And me, Snejina.
Okie dokie. Yes, so welcome to this week of Actor and Agent. This episode is mainly about mindset, I think. I mean, we haven't obviously dived into it, but I think that's where we're going to go.
Yeah, it's an important factor in anything, but especially in this industry.
100%, because I think people who are in this industry definitely are probably the most sensitive
In their heads,
Yeah.
overthinking.
Yeah, definitely.
Pondering, worrying.
Yeah. I love how, as I said, sensitive, I was also sensitive about even saying the word sensitive and questioning why I was saying sensitive. That's funny, isn't it? How's this week been for you, Snej?
Yeah, it's been very quiet. It's March right now, and it's been extremely quiet the past few weeks, like eerily so.
Oh, weird.
But, I mean, commercial work's been all right, but the film industry seems to be kind of quiet. But someone mentioned to me that it's usually like this at this time of year. I've kind of forgotten about all the ebbs and flows of the industry just because COVID sort of changed all of that. But, yeah, so hopefully it'll pick up in April. But with quiet times comes a lot of emails and am I doing everything right? And do I need to do more tapes? And what's going on? And why hasn't my kid gotten an audition yet? And blah, 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 blah. And it almost sounds like an excuse when you're like, it's really quiet, so we just gotta wait. But it's the truth, so...
Well, you can't magic
there's
up
nothing
work,
you
can
do.
you? That's the thing.
No, exactly. Yeah, I think people just don't really think about exactly... When they're signing up, they don't really... Some, like, new people, especially, like, new parents and stuff, they don't really consider how it works. They're just like, oh, you get an agent and they find your kid work, and that's it.
That does make it tough. And I know, even being on the actor side, that I know that I've definitely done that before, but
Well,
it's been a
it's
few
normal.
years.
Yeah, no, it's normal to get a little bit anxious when you haven't heard from your agent in a few weeks. I get that. And I don't mind people touching base, and then I'll tell them what's going on.
Totes.
I've also been doing this sort of thing every month or two where I'll just send a little emailer and say, like, the industry right now, and then I'll just sort of outline what's happening in film and TV, what's happening in commercials, what's happening in voiceover, and be like, you know, if it's busy or not, just to give people an idea of what's happening. I feel like that helps dampen some of the anxieties out there.
Yeah,
But,
I think that's actually I think it's a really valuable tool, actually, to do that, just to try and, you know, quell those fears before people kind of spiral too much, because we can all get in our head. Everyone.
we can. So let's talk about your week, Jen.
Yeah. Bit of a roller coaster, actually. I mean, you know. But yeah, it's I started off the top of the week being literally, I actually felt, the word I used to Lee is I felt bulletproof. I was like, I have incredible close friends. I have, I've got my health, as far as I know, is pretty good. And also, I'm now like going for a chemistry read for the lead in a TV pilot. Like, whoa, that's incredible. I've never had this opportunity before. Like, whoa. And I felt really good. I felt amazing. And I might not be selling it that much right now because of the back half of the week. And I know I should be really thankful for any and every opportunity that I get. And I literally had such a good time. But when you're up that high and you there's only one way to go, and that's down. So yeah, unfortunately, like it's this kind of weird thing where it's been such a twisty turny week where I'm like, on one hand, having a chemistry read, which is incredible, like the fact that I might be one of two people that might be this female lead, and then on the other hand, just like continuing to write to acting agents and trying to get an agent. I mean, obviously, I do have voiceover representation here in the UK, but I don't have theatrical rep, and it's a bit like, you just end up feeling so desperate, like that saying. And the thing is, you obviously want to do a good job, so you like research the agency, you're like looking at individual agents and like what their clients are, what they're doing, what they're booking. And like, obviously you don't want to choose anyone who looks very similar to you, like in their client list. And it's like so much effort. And then you get to the email and you try and make sure it's really personal and like not too long, but also like that it actually looks like you've done the research. Oh my God. And then, yeah,
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So yeah, so then I kind of crashed probably. What day is it today? It's Friday. So yeah, I crashed on Wednesday. And also, I was doing a couple of workshops as well on that same day, and I just did not have the energy, and it was, yeah. So anyway, it just shows how, on one side you can be like, wow, all these amazing things are happening, and it's so great, and then in the next breath you're like, oh, but still no one wants to represent me. Oh God. Oh, the struggle is real.
No, definitely. I mean, and just a precursor, just because you're having a hard time finding representation, not only you, but anybody, it's nothing about really, your skill or who you are or your ability. There's so many factors to it.
Of course.
Especially
now.
Yeah, especially now. And it's just so saturated with people. Especially if you're a Caucasian female
100%.
in her, late 20s or early 30s or whatever. I feel like there's a lot of you out there, and
God, I wish I was in my late 20s. I wish.
I was being nice.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We like to pretend.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can't. First of all, you can't take it personally, but
No.
It is tough. It is tough for somebody in your position to find representation.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that might mean, signing with somebody younger, maybe who's still building their roster, but who's still at a reputable
I'm approaching
agency.
those too. That's the mad thing. Like, it's like it takes a lot of effort to find those ones too. Like, like
Right.
the newer agents that are signing to reputable that are with these reputable agencies, and then they're also building a roster, but obviously it takes time. And then I think, I managed to find a few, and then I wrote to them, and then, it's just, the thing is, I'm aware as well that I might be speaking too soon. Maybe in a week's time, I might get like a lot of people being like, oh, hey, sorry, we haven't got back to you,
Oh,
but
I'm gonna love if that happens.
that'd be so funny.
I mean, okay, let's just put it into perspective here.
Of course.
You're a busy agent. You get lots of submissions. Sometimes you see somebody, oh, that's a nice headshot. That's a good face. Okay, it's the middle of the workday, so I'm not going to look at their demo right now. Tomorrow comes by, you've kind of forgotten that you've already opened that email.
Yeah.
A few more days goes by, go back into like the submissions email. Oh, right, there was this pretty girl here that I was kind of interested in. Okay, let's take a look at her demo. So you know what? It can take some time, and it's easy to open something and then forget, especially if you're in the middle of something else. So honestly, like conservatively, I'd say it can take like a week to 10 days for me to get back to somebody. So you can just imagine somebody in some hugely busy agency in the UK like maybe taking even up to 2 weeks to get back to you.
Yeah, I can understand that. I know actually when I was looking for voiceover agent years and years ago, because I've been with Damn Good for what feels like, you know, I think it's only 6 years, but it does feel like a lot longer, in a good way.
Yeah.
But I know when I was approaching voiceover agents that it was very, very quiet, and I was reaching out, and then I started to get a few no's, and then again it was quiet, but again I was just continually writing, and then all of a sudden, I heard from Damn Good, and then I also heard from another agency a couple of days later, and then another one about a month after that, being like, "Hey, sorry, do you have representation now?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gone, but so lovely for you to write to me. That's great." So, I mean, I'm just, you can't help but kind of get down sometimes,
No, of course. I mean, it's our initial sort of thought of, oh, I'm just not good enough, or I'm not interesting looking enough, or whatever, that they are jumping on the opportunity. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe you are, and it's just with emails and getting inundated with submissions, it's easy to let people kind of slip through for a bit. And then that's probably what happened with that other agency. They said, oh yeah, like there was this girl and we checked her out and then we forgot, and now, oh shoot, now it's been a month and she's probably repped Damn, but let's just check anyway.
Yeah.
Which happens sometimes as well. So
yeah, no, and I totally get that. It's lovely when it happens, and you get a few people right, because then you're like, ooh, options.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. That's what you want.
Yes, definitely. Rather than being like, this one person's written back and no one else. I guess that's it. I know that sounds bad, but then what if you... But then, again, you shouldn't ever feel pressured to, because the thing is, you don't really know what they're like until you actually have a meeting with them, even if it's over the phone or whatnot.
It could be amazing. It could be, I mean, with somebody like me who I was in the industry and had a good roster, and then, left and then came back and had to regrow, I had to look for a lot of people who would be a hard fit with other agents because they probably already have a lot of similar talent. So my door was a lot more open. So I was one of those agents that was maybe one of the only ones getting back, because I was still looking for those types of people to fit into the roster. And when I say that, I mean, like, it's usually young people in their 20s that are the hardest to fit in with new agents, because there's so many of them applying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was still looking out for them and whatever. And, I feel like I'm still a good agent and that they got a good opportunity. But yeah, so you should never, always go take the meeting and see how you're feeling, even if you feel like you haven't heard of them before or they're not with a big agency. Like, always take the meeting. You never know where they've come from, what they've done. I mean, when I started, I worked at one of the oldest and best agencies in the city. And then I worked at a boutique agency that mostly focused on background. And then I started my own agency, who people didn't really know what it was. But nobody knew that I'd gone through all those other steps. And then when I told them, oh, I've, worked at this agency, I've been in casting, I've done this, they're like, oh, wow, like, you've done so much. So it's like, you never really know where someone's come from.
Totally.
Just from my own experience. So, you can find a little diamond in the rough there, maybe.
To find the diamond.
Thing.
Yes, no, I know. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But that would be nice.
Anyway, I feel like getting into the acting industry, you have to have a tough skin, or you have to develop a tough skin. And you kind of have to let things roll off your back.
Yeah.
And it's a process, especially for people like us who are more sensitive and do tend to take things personally or overthink a situation. I think you've mentioned to me that over the years, obviously, it's gotten easier for you with auditioning.
Yeah, 100%.
But just a reminder, like, just new people, especially like young people and kids. Oh, it's so hard to explain that you're going to have to do this a lot before you recognize. And I always get these texts from parents, like, after the first audition ever, oh, like, do you think that we didn't book it? And I'm like, well, most likely not. But no, I don't say that. But you know what I mean? It's just, it's very sweet. And it's hard because I know it's just, especially for kids, it's hard to explain something like that. But yeah, for young people, it's easy just to get down on yourself. And new actors are always asking me, oh, is it past the point where you think I'm going to get a call back? And I feel like it's just something you have to let go.
Yeah, of course.
As an actor, right?
You know what, though? I feel like it's so much, even though I was, you know, I was working it out the other day. Like, I have actually been in the industry for about 14 years. And, like, even though I would say my skin is pretty thick now, there are times when I think where I've been pushing that sounds American, pushing the gas pedal for quite some time on lots of different things. And then, unfortunately, that's when my armor starts to get chinked, because because then you start to, and this is the worst thing for anyone to do, is you start to take it personally, and it really isn't personal. But I think when you're putting yourself out there, especially when you're trying to get representation, and it's based on you, not like an audition, which would be a character or like a specific job, which, you know, there's so much involved in there that can go either way, but is also the same with approaching representation. I appreciate that. But when it's like me, I'm like, but I'm really nice. I'm also really easy to work with. Like, you know, just pick me. Come on. That's kind of what ends up happening. And so I just have to kind of talk myself around it and be like, it's just the same as an audition. And that's what I need to really learn, is that it's the same as an audition, really. You just got to put it out there, forget about it, and just keep trucking. And it's a numbers game. And eventually something will stick.
Yeah. Well, trust me, Jen, I've met, and this is like my empathetic human side still coming out, but sometimes I meet with people who have applied and they're just so lovely and I really like them and we really like bond, but it's just not a good fit. And it's so hard not to just say yes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Just because you like the person. So, and that's me who's like extremely empathetic to like the point of deterrence on my end where it's not always a good thing. And most agents who have been in this for a while, they have a thick skin. They're pretty hard. And yeah. This kind of sounds bad, but they don't really see you as much as a person rather than where do you fit into my business kind of thing.
Of course. Well, not until you're at least a client of theirs. I think until...
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the initial sort of analysis is, how does this person fit into my business? Can they, you know, make us some income? Blah, 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 blah.
And to be honest, you've just said it there. It's a business, not personal.
Right. It is. But it's hard really because it's the business of people. And I struggle with this too as an agent, where it's hard to remove emotion and feelings when you're dealing with a person who the person is technically the commodity. So it's a tricky business. I feel like it's tricky when you are an empathetic person working with other empathetic people, to remove that from it and just make it very flat and businesslike.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously sometimes you have to, but yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky on both sides. I feel like I feel like there's no real, I mean, we're saying like, you know, you need to get a tough skin and like kind of this is the business or whatever, but I can see how it can be tricky to, it'll be like a constant kind of battle almost. But
100%. It's like being on what's it called? I want to say seesaw. Is that right? Seesaw? Yeah. Being on a seesaw, you know, you run over to one end and you're like, oh shit, the other side's going up. Quick, run to the other. Oh God, wait, just stand in the middle. Just kind of try and balance this thing. It is, it is difficult. But you know, I don't know about you. What do you do if you, because obviously, I know that you obviously have some anxieties about bits and bobs, and inner monologue stuff, I'm sure that happens with you. Is there like things that you notice and like you do to kind of practice a little bit of self-care? Is there something that you do specifically?
Well, totally. And I'll be very candid. Like, I've had anxiety for a long time, and that's just a part of my life and something that I have to cope with. So you can just imagine that owning 2 businesses and having to deal with, 200 something odd people at a time or more, is a lot of pressure. And also I am very competitive with myself and hard on myself, where I'll compare myself to companies who have been around for 30 years and be like, oh, why are they doing that and we're not? And it's funny. I mean, I think that's good. I think it's good that I'm looking up and trying to get better. But I think when I start doing that, I notice if I'm comparing myself to, like, even if you're an actor and you're comparing yourself to like a celebrity or somebody around you who's auditioning tons, like, you just need to take a step back and say, well, they've been in this industry for a lot longer than I have. They've paid their dues. They've worked hard. They've forged their own connections. I'm still starting out, and I'm still building up to that reputation. So I just kind of take a step back and take a breath and say, you're doing really great for where you're at right now, and you can't necessarily compare yourself to everybody. I feel like actors do that a lot, where you'll get emails and they'll say, oh, like my friend is auditioning all the time and da-da-da. And I'm like, well, okay, but who's your friend?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do they look like? How long have they been in the industry? Do they have credits? Like, there's just so many elements. So doing a comparison to somebody else is just it's tricky, and you should never do that. And whenever anybody emails me and they're starting to compare themselves to other people, I always say immediately, look, stop.
Yeah.
You can't compare yourself to somebody else, especially in this industry, because every little thing could make or break somebody, or just make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. And then I think it's important also to have a balance, a work-life balance. And I really strive to do that in my life. Sometimes I feel guilty about it, because I feel like if I go for a walk in the middle of the day to get some air and, try not to check my emails for half an hour, I feel like I'm letting people down or something. Or if somebody sees me, they're going to be like, oh my God, my agent's not doing anything.
Yeah, she's waltzing around. How dare she?
Yeah. And I feel like I shouldn't feel that way.
No,
I mean,
definitely not. 100%.
That's not, like, because it's really that industry where it's all the time.
It's all consuming, isn't it? It just, you need to
every
be
hour
able
of the day.
Yeah.
And you just need to draw the line and maybe just not care so much what other people think, because it's for you.
Totally.
I don't know. That was a long-winded answer.
No, I love it. No, I love that answer. And you know what? It reminds me of, I think I might have even brought this song up before, or maybe you've also heard it, but the Sunscreen song, where it's like, in there it's also got, the race is long, but in the end it's only with yourself.
Huh, that's nice.
And I literally love that. And it's also, there's so many great lines in there. It's I think it's called the Sunscreen song, and it's like it's saying about the best advice that he could give was wear sunscreen, and then it's also talking about there's literally so many nuggets in there. And I listened to that the other day, although I haven't listened to it this week, but I should. And like that, just that line, the race is long, but in the end it's only with yourself. And I'm like, it's so accurate, Baz Luhrmann. It's so accurate. How dare I compare myself to other people? But also, yes, it is good to have a work-life balance. I'm not the best at doing that.
No.
I'm the worst, actually. I'm not the worst, but I'm pretty bad. I'm pretty shocking. And I do it all. I do it all with a smile, and I just keep going and going and going and going until I basically crash and cry. And and I think in a way, I won't dive too much into it, but like the last few years, obviously, I have still been able to do a lot of voiceover, but I was running and managing a hairdressing salon here in the UK, and there's actually nothing more demoralizing than pretending that everything's okay in front of paying clients and smiling whilst you don't have anything left. And unfortunately, that's just kind of something that I do, whether it's, in my job, or sometimes even at home. It's terrible. I shouldn't, but I do, because I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable because I'm pushing myself to the edge. It's my fault for doing such a thing. But it is something that I'm trying to learn. And last night I was like, right, I need to do something. I need to, and even my husband, he was like, he got so mad at me the other day when I started like having a bit of a crash, and he was like, I've been telling you that you need to chill out, like read a book, have a bath, watch some TV. Like there's no guilt there. Just chill out. And I was like, I don't have any books. And he was like, well, buy some books. So last night I bought 7.
Amazing.
Yeah, and 3 of them have arrived today. So I imagine tomorrow I think I just need a bit of escapism and a time away from screens, because
definitely
it's not always that good. And also, again, I shouldn't really complain too much, because today we actually released the first episode on all app mediums. So, and woohoo! And I need to do those kind of things. When I'm feeling a bit like blur, I need to do something that's for me, that I know will make me feel uncomfortable for a little bit, but then once it's out there, it doesn't matter. Actually, that's why I tried stand-up, actually, is as well, as to put myself in the firing line. It's terrible, but it happens. Anyway.
I was going to say that I feel like I'm better at giving myself a break.
Yes.
And like deserving and giving myself that moment that I feel like I deserve. Mm-hmm. Or like sometimes it's as simple as, shit, I've had a bad day. I'm going to go down to the market and get myself this amazing donut that I love and eat it, and just a little something for you to make yourself feel better. And yeah, just like taking time to have a bath or watch a funny TV show. Mm-hmm. Like I did that yesterday. At the end of the day, it was so quiet, and I just put on like this movie that I used to watch when I was younger, Blue Crush.
Oh yeah.
And I know it by heart, but it just
Isn't that the surfing
happy.
one? Is that the surfing one? Oh, I've never seen it. I actually really want to see it. Ooh.
It's great. It's with Kate Bosworth and Michelle Rodriguez.
Right.
And some surfer chicks. It's cool. It's just fun. And I just put it on because I haven't watched it since, or when I first discovered it, I was 15. Actually, this is a funny story. I was 15 modeling in Malaysia, and it was in the model's apartment. And I actually took the DVD with me because I loved it so much.
Did you?
Yeah. And on the way back home, I had stopped through LAX, and on my way changing terminals, I saw Kate Bosworth outside, and I knew it was her because she has 2 different colored eyes. Oh. And we just I smiled at her, like this big smile, and she kind of nodded at me and smiled back. And it was just this lovely moment because I had been watching that movie for like a month, a bunch of times. And then I saw her, and it was just so lovely. Oh. But that was just a little tidbit that I wanted to share.
No, that's lovely.
Yeah, I just feel like, have that time where you do something for you that you like, even if it's something little. And I know we're not really in this age of people reading tons, but I feel like if you're in this industry and you're an actor, reading is so handy and helpful, just to see dialogue and, explore different stories. And obviously, like, things in books are way richer and more interesting, and the scenes are set so much better. So, I mean, it's beneficial, but I think it's also just such a good way to wind down at the end of the day. I do it every night, even if it's just for 15 minutes, a half hour, or whatever. I'll just read in bed, and it's just such a nice way to get out of your head and get into a good story.
What are you reading at the moment, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I actually just finished this teen murder mystery thing that's going to be a show on Netflix. It's
Oh.
called One of Us is Lying. The book was actually sold out everywhere, so I got it on Kindle. But it was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it is a teen book, so but it was fun. And there's more in the series. But right now I'm reading a book called The Sanatorium.
Oh.
It was actually Reese's book club pick. What a nerd am
Oh.
I? But it sounded good. It's about a old sanatorium, basically, that was turned into a fancy ski hotel, and it's in the middle of nowhere. So it kind of gives you like the Shining vibes, like in the snow, and people keep, disappearing, and you don't know why, and there's a woman who's like an ex-detective that's there with her fiance meeting her brother, and there's just this weird tension there because her younger brother died and they don't know why, and they're all suspicious of each other. So there's a lot of tension, and they really set the scene really beautifully of like the snow and the eeriness and like the creepiness of this place and its history and stuff. So I like creepy stuff, so it's nice for me. Yeah, so it's cool. Are you reading anything good yet? What books did you pick up?
Well, I was actually just looking to try, because I just literally ordered a bunch. There's the 3 that have already arrived today. This is going to be like a real insight into the mind of Jen. One of them is called The Dark Side of the Mind: True Stories from My Life as a Forensic Psychologist.
Damn.
I know, I can't wait. So excited. And then the second one is called The Book Club, but it's an absolutely gripping psychological thriller with a killer twist. And another one is called Blood Orange. Those are the 3 that have arrived today. But the other ones
Something
that are arriving,
as well.
basically all murder. But but tomorrow is arriving. I don't know. Have you ever read The Tattooist of Auschwitz?
I have it here. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list.
Oh, it's incredible. It's such an awful story, but it's so, because it's true as well. I think that's what makes it so powerful when you're reading it. Well, there's another story called Silke's Journey, and it's about a character that you'll come across in The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and so I'm really interested to find out what happened to this character, Silke. And then I also have ordered, it's called Happy: Finding Joy in Everyday and Letting Go of Perfect by Fern Cotton.
I have so many of those in my house and I haven't read them, but I should.
I always buy those ones, and then I'm like, oh yeah, but the murder is just so like, it's gonna, people are gonna think we're absolute psychos. But I just
no, just to interject quickly about the murder. It's not only us, Jen, because they just had a skit on SNL like a couple weeks ago, and it was like, my husband's out, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put on a murder show. And it's like, I'm gonna watch this guy get disemboweled as I'm doing my nails or something. I don't know. It's so funny. And I was just like, this is what women do. It's so great. It made me laugh. You have to look it up. It's hilarious.
I will. That's basically depicting any evening that I have.
But I feel like also for you and me, what it's about mostly when we're watching it is just like, we love, it's just about the mind. It's the psychology of it all. Like we're just so interested in how people are like this.
Of course. Absolutely.
And how they got to be that way. That's what I find fascinating. I think you find the same thing.
Well, yeah, 100%. And I have to ask before I mention something else, but have you, you must have finished it, but Behind Her Eyes?
Oh yeah, I finished it.
What did you think?
I mean, it was great. It was really well done, but yeah, totally crazy. And
didn't it make you feel a little bit dirty though, in a way?
I felt dirty at the end.
Yeah,
definitely.
At the very end. Yeah.
For many levels, I was like, oh no.
Ugh.
And then it stuck with me. Yeah. For a couple days there. I was like, ugh.
I know, it's like a stink that won't wash off. It's just it's great. But it's also brilliant. For anyone who hasn't watched it, is incredible. But it is it's very much difficult. I don't know if you've actually heard of or listened to, there's a podcast, I've binged it, it's already come and gone for me, but I loved it. I was actually doing it whilst I was padding out this voice booth. And it's called The Apology Line. It's on...
Oh, Sean told me to
Oh,
listen to that.
Oh
So
my
I've listened to the first 2 episodes.
yes.
I need to keep going, but I haven't had many opportunities to podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm going to.
She says
I'm
whilst
gonna get
making a
into that.
podcast.
Ha ha. To listen to podcasts. But yeah, I'm definitely on that one.
Oh, man.
But back to Behind Her Eyes just quickly.
Yes.
And everybody listening, this was what Jen and I do all the time. We'll just totally veer off into a topic of what we're watching, which I'm
surprised we've actually
very fun.
managed to hold off as long as we have in the episodes to not go tangenty.
Well, it's totally relevant. Like everyone listening should be watching stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So I always forget her name, but the lead in Behind Her Eyes, Bono's daughter.
Yes.
Dark hair, blue eyes.
Yes.
I'm so fascinated with her now, and we're actually watching a new show that just came out on Amazon Prime called The Luminaries.
Oh.
And it's with her, the guy from that movie Yesterday, the lead,
Oh, yeah.
and Eva Green.
I love
and
Eva Green.
some other English actors. And what it's about the gold rush in New Zealand, but mixed with like mystical things, and you don't really know what's going on, and it kind of goes back and forth in the timeline of like what's happened, how did this person die, and yeah,
I love how it's got to involve someone dying.
Of course it does. But it's absolutely gorgeous. It's obviously shot there. It's stunning, like scenery. The clothes are really amazing, and the acting is just super excellent. So we're super into it. There's only 6 episodes, but we're almost done, and I really like it. And I really like her now. So she's so great.
She is just so captivating. Like, oh man, yeah, she's just incredible. She's like, to use a word that a mutual friend of ours, Jeff, would say, it's the gold standard. It is the gold standard when you watch her. She is the gold standard.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
agreed.
she is.
I'm hoping she'll have a good career going.
I hope so. She's bound
for a
to.
bit.
She's bound to. Yeah.
Anyway.
No. Well, to be honest, I think it does. Like you say, it does all tie in. And you know, if it's a book, if it's a podcast, if it's a movie, if it's a
well, it's a good way to
TV.
escape, especially now. It's so, not only are actors struggling to get in the room, but it's also super heavy. The world is super heavy right now. So we need to not forget that we have that subconsciously on top of us constantly, along with everything else. Even if you're not aware of it, it's there. So
absolutely,
you need to keep that in mind as well. And yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And I feel like it's easy to sort of look in to something that's happening at like a macro level right now, because it's not like have so many options of, you know, going out and meeting friends and going bowling and planning our next beach holiday and what are we going to do this summer. It's sort of like everything is focused in on what's happening right now, because that's all we really have at the moment in a way.
100%.
That sounds really bleak, but you know what I mean.
No, but I know, honestly, I know exactly what you mean. But it did make me, it did make me chuckle, my inside chuckle about bowling. I can't remember the last time I went bowling.
Right?
But it's, it's fun. It's something to do.
Here's a good segue. A friend of mine who will be on our next podcast, Sinead Curry, is currently in Australia, and they're doing so well in the pandemic that she went to go play mini golf the other day. And I was just like, in what universe are you living in that you've gone to play mini golf? And she also went to a live concert.
The dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And she sends me little videos walking down the street, and it's just like busy and just totally normal. She's living in some bizarro world. And I hope it stays that way for them.
Yeah, me too.
I really hope it stays that way. But it's just so, it's so crazy to see it. It's almost like it doesn't make sense. I don't compute in my head that that's a possibility somewhere. But it's a good kind of beacon of hope, I think, for people to think about.
100%. Actually, it'd be
And,
good. It'd be good for you to kind of talk a little bit about Sinead just before.
Yes.
You know, because
Yeah.
I know we'll
Jump in.
talk more
Yeah.
next week, but it'd be lovely just to hear a little snippet.
Sinead is this beautiful, bubbly Australian actress, and she's also she does marketing and communications as well. I met her when she was living here. She actually did a side job at the old agency that I was working at. And we met that way, and I just was totally captivated by her. So obviously we became friends.
Did you also rep her?
Well, I rep her now.
That's
for
hilarious.
Canada. I'm sorry, that sounds really bad. No, I rep her now for Canada, but
there's a
she's
trend.
not.
There's a trend.
Well, she's not here, so
I know.
I can't really represent her
teasing.
anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, gross. Remember what we said in the first episode.
Exactly.
You want a friend, sign up with Snejina.
Exactly.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, so she was here and she was, as what we call a struggling actor. But she booked some great things while she was here. She did really well. She's most famously known for being... I forgot the name of the character right now, but I will definitely say it when we introduce her the next episode. But she was one of the guest stars in Nancy Drew in season 1.
Oh, wow.
She was the girl who was murdered. So she was kind of like the main murder mystery topic throughout the whole thing. So that's what she's most famously known for. But she's done a sprinkling of other amazing things. She's also a very talented voice actor. And still keeping busy in Australia now. And she's doing great. Like, she had a bit of a struggle here because she had a hard time getting another visa and finding a place to stay. And it was just kind of a tricky time for her. And then she went back home and sort of just turned everything around for herself this past year, and she's just doing super great. So it's just lovely to see.
Yeah.
And you'll hear her. She's just a ray of sunshine. So it'll be super fun to chat with her. And she's been in the industry for a really long time as well.
Nice.
And I feel like you two would actually have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, well, she seems an absolute delight, actually. She's already sent me a little image of her eating muesli in the morning, and I think it was like something like 4:30 a.m. and she was like,
so
good
sweet.
morning, and I was like, oh, that's really early for you. What are you eating, muesli? And she's like, correct. And I was like, oh, you're adorable. I'm really looking forward to chatting to her. So it'd be the first guest we have that I don't know. So I'll be like,
exactly.
Hey, nice to see
just
you.
to say, I started repping her because we were sort of no, I need to say this.
Of course.
I need to defend myself. No, I'm just kidding. We were just sort of becoming friends, and she felt like I was talking about, I was becoming an agent again at the time, and we were talking a lot of back and forth about, deals that she was getting and things that she was getting put out for, and just like my opinion on everything. And I think she just really respected the way I worked and how I saw things and how I saw things for her. And we just decided that it would be a really good partnership for us to work together.
Definitely. And,
I was very hesitant as we started becoming closer friends, but, it works for us. It works for us. And she's my only friend that I represent now. So, yeah, I feel like there isn't any conflict of interest. And I would never be that kind of agent anyway, where I'm like, ooh, it's my friend. I'm going to put them out for everything good, and everyone else just gets scraps. Like, that's never going to be something I would do.
No.
But, unfortunately, because of COVID and the fact that she's in Australia, we haven't really been working together that much because it's just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was just about to say, what a wonderful opportunity then to at least have her on the podcast, so it feels like you're working together, if you know what I mean, on something.
Oh no, 100%. And you'll love her, guys. You'll love her. She's She's so great.
She's so awesome. Brilliant.
She's so great.
Cool. So that's where we're going to be heading to next week then. Well, obviously in our respective cupboards. That's
our
where
respective cupboards and visiting sunny Australia.
Yeah, where COVID is no more. Oh, the dream. Delight. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if you do enjoy the podcast and you want to tell your friends, please do, especially if it's nice things. Tell your friends, share it. And also, even better, if you could, give a little cheeky review if it's a nice one. But if it's a bad one, keep that to yourself.
To yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, because it all helps. And then that means that we can we'll keep doing this anyway, whether you like it or not. So yeah. Okay, until then, until next week, take care. So bye from me. Bye.
Bye.